kind of like a, I think people like Mike because I'm kind of a unique kind of character.
And I have
You just see how games and possessions fit more intense, how they mean more.
I'm not putting him on.
I think the U.S. is going to all of a sudden win this.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Nothing But Respect Show. I am Harry Krinsky. I'm joined as always by Patrick Redford. And the beauty of social media is like you can just, your whole life can change overnight, right? We saw this with Hawk Tua. Like you can just, a video can just blow up and you can just end up, fucking famous, right? And our guest, Danny, aka Mr. What's Next, that basically has happened to him in that you posted some videos and now you have made it to the Nothing But Respect show. So I mean,
yep.
that's just so amazing. No, Danny, we'll get into your social media prowess, but we're really happy to have you on.
Yes, dude, happy to be here. Stoked.
But before we get into that, we got to do a little. Also, I just realized I called you Mr. What's Next or Mr. Who's Next. Is that a foreshadowing to our unkness, which I will get into later. Okay, but before we get into all that, we got to talk about the broke jumper tip line. This has so far been one of the more successful Nothing But Respect side projects I think that we have. For those who don't know, we need to know about our enemies' jump shots or our heroes' jump shots. We got to know what they're working with, what their bag is like. Please email us at nothingbуtrespectpod@gmail.com or give us a call at 347-380-6426. You'll have it, whatever, in the show notes. We received a very, very special tip. We received a number of really, I would say, fire tips that we have been sharing privately that will eventually come out. But I wanted to share this email I got. The subject line is Buckets by Rhode Island Governor Dave McKee. And it is a scouting report on Dave McKee, the 74-year-old governor of Rhode Island. I only recently saw him getting buckets on a visit to a renovated recreation center in Providence. Awesome place to get buckets in general. The another important note was his age and decline. Oh, and also this was attached to a video. So there I am in my possession just a raw video of the governor of Rhode Island shooting hoops in a empty
an 11-second Google Drive link, I should say. Like the most if someone wanted to honeypot us or like give us a virus or something, you could do it so easily.
Yeah,
we could be duped. I'm
clicking on that link right away. Exactly. And no the last a few things. There's some great analysis in it. He says his age and declining athleticism sort of hides his unique form, which you can see more clearly when he was the mayor of Cumberland, Rhode Island, which is another, and then another link is attached. One thing I'll say about the form, it's one of those classic, like 6 years ago, the double step back, James Harden invented the double step back. And there's a whole lineage of innovations that have come, more profound ones, which was like dribbling with your other hand was invented in the 60s or whatever. Clearly, this gentleman learned to shoot a basket before they learned that following through is useful. So he has this kind of like snake bite style jumper, which you can anybody who has shot a jumper with a 70-year-old or has seen like Bernie Sanders shoot hoops, they that they hadn't quite invented following through when they had it. So he has this style of jumper.
Shoots a hard ball.
Yeah.
Watch your head.
So Danny, I wanted to ask you, and it's fine if you don't, I'm putting you on the spot here, but have you hooped with any micro celebrities, internet, you just moved out to LA. Are you running into like Bo Burnham hooping? Like what's going on?
Oh, dude. Yeah, no, not yet. I would love to, but no real niche like micro celebrities.
I got to ask, you go down to the LA Fitness or something and you get like, I don't know, Felix Biederman switched onto you. How are you taking him?
Right at him. Just right in his chest. Right in his chest. Yeah. I think there's if you can just initiate right off the jump, first time he feels you, he feels your shoulder in his chest. That's going to be the last of our interactions, or he'll at least play kind of a little off me. But that's the only way to do it.
What about Rhode Island Governor McKee? You know, you see the lefty shot. You see that he's splitting his feet, landing like.
Yeah.
Okay, he clears out the side. He's like, I got Danny fucking barbecue chicken. What are you? How are you standing him up?
So best case scenario, fellas. I'm hoping me and him are on the same team. But if we're not, I'm just gonna give him all I have. I'm gonna kind of let him come to me, if that makes sense. There's gonna be no reaching. There's gonna be no biting to one side. I'm just gonna kind of stay right down the middle. I'm going to bank on if he goes left, he's going to come right back right, and I'm going to be there, and it's not going to feel good. That'll be all of this.
Something I like about I was going through just everything I could find about this guy plus basketball, and he mentions that he's a champion AAU coach before he says the name of his wife in his bio on ri.gov, which is like that's a real hooper right there.
That scares me a little bit.
Have I told you about my AAU experience, Harry?
No, speak on it.
I was the only white kid on my AAU team.
Nice,
and this
that's
was
a good
when
sign.
Peja Stojakovic and Keith Van Horn were like really prominent in the league. And so my coach was like, you're a 3-point shooter. And I was not, didn't know how to do it. But he was like, we're going to run our shit through you at the top of the key. And we just want you to pop it. And I had to go like 0 for 12 in a serious game before they were like, I don't think we understood this guy.
This guy's not like Peja. That is really funny.
No, but it was really fun to just get to spend 5 or 6 games just fucking bombing away, shooting 16%, not snapping the wrist on the follow through. But got to break a few eggs.
But the green light tells the other team, like, hold on, like Patrick at any point here could put one down, and then we're in trouble.
Watch out for this guy. Yeah,
confidence
spacing
thing.
the floor. Positive value.
I'll really quickly before we get into this, I'll share. I had my own level of token basketball, which is that. Because I grew up on the parish of a church, even though I am Jewish, I was grandfathered into the ability to play for the church's basketball team. Nice. And I was a pretty good, 7th, 8th grader. So they recruited me to the parish school. So I played for St. Brendan's basketball as a 6th, 7th, 8th grader. And they just called me the Jew.
That's good.
It's just like amazing.
How did that
like
feel?
Philip Roth as situation. It was dope. Like I met a lot of guys honestly that look like you, Patrick, like tall, redhead. I honestly both you guys are looked like as corn fed as you can get in San Francisco.
We were the kids calling you the Jew.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me formally introduce our guest. Danny, you crossed my desk a long time ago, actually, and there's like some latent DMs of me being like, "Yo, you gotta come on." Nothing but respect. Like, maybe over a year ago, DMing some random, one of your accounts. Before I finally back channeled you the way to have you on, because you are maybe people won't know immediately recognize you by name, but you are the creator of some of the more iconic sports mixtape, like Instagram reel, TikTok edits, like truly of all time, and some of them. I was trying to go through the record of like when did this first cross my desk, and it was this Russell Westbrook celebration edit of and in short, I want to let you talk about your artistic process, but like in short, what's so special about these edits is they operate as an edit, as like they're fun to watch the thing, but then there is also like intrigue and narrative and surprise and humor going on in these edits. So they like, when I watched the first one, I was really like, there's nothing like this. And many people you've gone, most recently the one you had about Shea and foul baiting, that seemed to have gone like mega viral. They're just so fucking funny. So that's where most, I think, people are familiar with your work. Can you walk us through like how it came to be that you became the maestro of the edit?
Yeah, so we were kind of talking about it a little bit earlier, but I was in college and me and my buddies did the whole, hey, we want to start the next Barstool thing. So we were like, we want to make a sports media platform. And we started Who's Next. And it started out it ended up just turning into me and my one buddy trying to post 4 times a day. And again, I was telling you, I would grab, it started out as football, and but we were always football, basketball. But I would grab clips from YouTube from like the mic'd up NFL moments. And I would put captions over it, post 4 times a day. And we ended up getting the account up to like 7,000, 8,000 followers off of just no original content. I think we had one with like a Joe Burrow reel, caught the mom side of TikTok and did really well. So we got some followers from there. But then I started doing the voiceover stuff, and it just started out as me doing like a player, tribute. It was running backs. First one I did was Mike Tolbert, and I just got on there for a little over a minute and talked about how special Mike Tolbert was. And it did he pretty well. He was very special, and that was that was kind of the theme of the video, and it did like well enough for me. Like I was like, wow, that's awesome that people are commenting on something I made. And then from there, it was just that was it. Like I just started doing the voiceovers, and it ended up kind of, I don't even know how many I posted before it started just changing into like I would do these player reviews. And then I posted this Peyton Manning one that lasted a little bit longer than usual. So it was up there at like the 2-minute, 30-second one, and it was more storytelling based. And I really enjoyed that one because Peyton Manning's my favorite player of all time. And that one did better than any video up till that point. And I was like, this is the greatest feeling in the world. Like I think I got wine drunk that night and was just scrolling through comments and being like, this is so special. Like people just agreeing with me, and like, it was so cool. So then it kind of turned into,
Dick Fascist form. 40 loved my post.
Yes.
So
that's what it's all about.
He's like, you know what? Peyton might be better than Tom. And I was like, dude, I could kiss you right now through the screen. So it ended up going from like just little 1-minute videos to kind of a longer, more storytelling, narrative driven based videos. And then I don't really remember which one it was. Oh, maybe it was when I started doing, I did videos on linemen, and I would just feature lineman plays. And towards the end of one of them, like BJ Raji comes up and I start freaking the hell out. And I add music. Like I would always add music, but it was background music. This time I added it in. It was like a pop. Then I raised my voice. And then that's when it started turning into more of kind of like a surprise at the end. And I would always do basketball ones too. So it's been a slow evolution, but it's slowly started turning into kind of like, narrative. Here comes the music, and then stuff just kind of switches up. And
it's such a distinct style. And like I'm thinking about like the ethical bitching, gotta grow the game. We got kids watching one. The Russ Lob City one, like,
oh my God.
What I like about those, I mean, they're just like, they stand alone as art pieces, but what I like is that like the experience of just having one thing flow into the other is like not really how a lot of like video shit works, but is actually how like being on the internet works. Mm-hmm. And so there's something about the narrative flow of them that I find like very satisfying.
Yeah. And I normally find ones like that really do well and seem kind of seamless, I guess you could say, transition to transition, is when I'm really not forcing it. And it kind of is. And those ones do take a little bit longer because it's not something I just, it might be 2 weeks worth of ideas that I kind of just try to blend into one video. But it'll be one topic, and then it'll just kind of make me think about this topic, and then I'll try and get to that. But yeah, it is funny. It is what I normally try and do is I'll have the end already done, if that makes sense. So like I knew I wanted to make a Lob City video, but I didn't know how. I didn't want to just talk about Lob City. I wanted to make it creative at the start. And then I saw a tweet about Russ of him yelling at people in the bubble, and I was like, "That is hilarious." And it was right around when he was. It was right around when he was making threes on the Nuggets and just getting crazy hyped. So
didn't he scream at someone's baby?
He just screamed at the he screamed at the sideline, and at the time it was just baby mamas, moms, and kids sitting in these chairs. So I was like, "Who are you yelling at, Russ?" Like, they don't show who he's yelling at, but there's no fans in the stands,
right?
And that's just Russ. That's just what makes it beautiful. But yeah,
pointing at guys on the Zoom screen and calling 13 of them individually bitches. That's what Russ is. I love that guy.
That's why I found that other than LeBron James, if you make Russell Westbrook the focal point, you can't go wrong. Like he's probably got the second greatest fan base on the internet, at least. I
do want to talk about because you're probably on the receiving end of the various like stands, leveraging your work one way or the other. I want to get that, but first I have a few more questions about the creative process here. I wanted to ask about the like. You kind of answered it, but is there a point where you're like, oh, this is the hinge point? Like, oh, wait, this is, it's Jade McDaniels and now it's some other video? Or like, does that happen when you're in the middle of the edit, or are you like, I'm going to go out and do these 3 different edits and like, let me just mush it together and that's the process?
Yeah. So honestly, both. So like there'll be times where I'll know like, okay, this is the part where I'm going to go. And then I'll get in there and I'll start recording my voice and it might change a little bit. There's also times where I'll have all the video set, but then when I go in there, I try to match it up with my voice. So if I have 30 seconds of something I'm supposed to talk over and it takes me 10, then I got to kind of cut to or whatever the case may be. But it's a little bit of both. There's scheduled amp up moments, and then there's also times where I'm like, I don't know, I'm feeling that a little bit more. So yeah, both.
Yeah, I like watching and trying to figure out when the hinge point is going to be, like knowing when is coming. But it really works for me as someone who doesn't really follow football, like watching the football ones and just being like, okay, now it's gonna and it always catches me off guard. Like, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun. I love those kind of comments when it's like trying to figure out what's going to happen. It's also too, so one of my, I guess it's not annoying. It's a cool thing to be annoyed by, but it's gotten to the point now where if I don't do something crazy I can't even make like a single subject video anymore, because then there'll be comments that are like, oh bro, this is too predictable. I'm like, just stop. Like I'm not, I'm just trying to make a video here, but now everybody's expecting like 5 different like switch ups and all this stuff, but it's all right.
There's a few other things I really like about it. It's interesting that you were like, oh, I started doing the 4 videos a day and then moved into this other way, because there's this pressure I think a lot of people feel when they're trying to make stuff on the internet is like, I got to keep up, right? I got to keep up with like with fucking Barstool or The Ringer or, various other, influencers that are recording for Facebook videos, whatever. And like the main way that most people think to go is basically what you did at the start, which is like, okay, let me just make a bunch of videos, right? But which doesn't actually end up serving the consumer, because they get to consume 4 like okay videos, whereas the making the decision to be like, no, I'm going to do 4 videos like munched into one video, and even the notion of like because I work with, I do media consulting, and like everybody will tell you, make your video 1 minute to 90 seconds. And your experience was like the 2.5 minute video, the 3 minute videos popped in a different way. And it's like, if you're being so dogmatic about like fitting into the platform instead of just being like, let me make something funny, you lose all of that. And it's clear that you were like responding. You can't just, the last thing I'll say is like, you can't just be like, okay, well, fine, fuck the platform. Like, I'm not even going to go try to go viral, because then you'll be broke and won't make anything and nobody will see your shit. But your stuff is like a synthesis of the two things, where it's like, it works virality wise and it works in a craft way. And I just think that's cool. So are you thinking about that? Like, I see you nodding in agreement.
Well, so like my mindset is it like there's no right or wrong way to do it. And I think both ways are fine. But in reality, what it is having something to offer to the internet and having nothing to offer to the internet. So when I had nothing to offer to the internet, again, I was just, I was taking other people's content, putting captions on it, posting 4 times a day, which you see is probably 90% of the internet, having no real thing to offer. I truly believe everybody does have something to offer. You just got to find it. So once I did find it, there was no such thing as a schedule of posting or a style of content. It was just creating what I thought was cool personally. So if I think it's cool, then somebody else out there has to. But if you're not at that point, which I wasn't, and not everybody is, I would say try and build up a platform. And then once you find what is ticking for you, that what you enjoy making and everybody else enjoys seeing, then you can start firing. And that's the cool part, because there's no like, all right, bro, it's got to be 90 seconds. It's got to be twice a day or this and that. There is no real like rhyme or rhythm, but there is a way to, there is some truth to posting often so you can get your name out there or whatever. But yeah, totally. It is kind of a cool transition period, but I don't think either are wrong. I don't want to say that, I'm trying to make fun of people who don't, it's like, but yeah, I think it really is a difference between having something to offer and having nothing to offer, but we all get there.
That makes sense.
Another way I would say to kind of get your name out there is to find out where micro or macro celebrities play their pickup basketball, film it, send the tape into us. We'll get your name out there.
Our hundreds of
tens of
millions.
listeners.
Yeah,
We'll really make it pop. And that's like, that's sort of a building community type thing too. So really just like, camera, phone out, make sure you're focusing, and you can even do a little whispery voiceover. That's fine.
Yeah, you could make your own. Hey, dude, steal Danny's content. Steal the theme. Just do one of those, but about Ro Khanna.
I mean, man, I did the same thing. There was people recording their TV screen doing voiceovers, and I was like, that right there, that's what I should try doing.
Right.
And I did.
Elevate
Nothing's owned on the internet. Steal everything.
Well, to that point, I wanted to do a little cultural exchange here because we are as 19-year-old podcasters, we are chopped. You are 13. And so have a better understanding of
just turned 13.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Curious broadly, like how your generation is consuming your micro generation, whatever. You are a few years younger than us. You're not actually a baby compared to us, but is consuming sports totally differently. The Kenny Beecham versus that's his name, Frank Isola. Yeah, beef I think was kind of an interesting avenue in here because I kind of felt for both parties a little bit. Like I obviously thought what Frank did was like lame, like, and yeah, whatever, like a totally inappropriate way to handle it. But I was like, I at least understood where he was coming from of being like, who are these kids that are taking my jobs and are like doing stuff more interesting than me? And then I was also like, had no idea who Kenny Beecham was, really. So I don't know. What did you guys think of that generational spat?
I don't know. It really is just kind of a difference in media because I was going to school for sports journalism and I would take all these writing classes and like kind of just at the time I was like because I really do enjoy writing a lot. Like I do that very often for when I make my videos. I'll write out like maybe stats or some sort of loose script that I always start with, and it's always writing, never typing. And that is really what I think it is all these guys who have been in the sports journalism media scape for the longest time, grew up writing and doing it that way and like reading and posting articles and all that. And then the Kenny Beechams of the world kind of grew up making YouTube videos and doing it that way. And unfortunately, not saying there's a discrepancy in talent, but it is way easier to spike in engagement and get bigger faster through this new media landscape. So I think that is kind of what it is. And I kind of feel both parties like, I mean, if I was Frank, I'd be a little upset at these kids, these young whippersnappers on the internet doing their stupid videos when it was just more X's and O's, I guess. I'm not going to call it harder, but there was more things you kind of had to do, more boxes you had to check. You had to go get the degree or you had to go put in the time on some local news network or whatever it was. Now it's kind of just like, Kenny, I use me as a good example too. I dropped out. Normally I would have to go try and get a job doing some form of news I didn't want to get into and then work my way up to a dream sports job. Now I can post stupid videos on TikTok and now I'm here. Like I'm not here, but I'm able to have my own platform that could be just, you could argue is just as big as some of these guys, influence wise. And I didn't have to do any of the harder stuff. So I see both sides, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. I think like, I'm right there with you. I think that's a great answer. And like, someone like Isola, like it's definitely frustrating, but also I think you don't have to be okay with it, but you do have to understand that like the way sports is consumed is like totally different now.
Yeah.
And like the only thing I would really worry about, not that like Isola is like breaking news and like, like the biggest James Dolan scoop of the year came from Wired, like from a guy who's always been a sort of gadfly outsider, is that like these like beat reporter, more journalist types who are like always around the team are like covering the team sort of critically. And this isn't totally endemic to like the video class that like, people like break news and get scoops there. But like you're seeing this a lot in like tennis specifically, where like writers and journalist types are sort of it's like harder and harder to justify sending them there. And the press corps is being slowly replaced by like essentially influencers that are like way easier to control, way more like they're there to like work with the teams rather than sort of like on the public's behalf. And like, that's the sort of thing that like doesn't like worry me exactly, but it will be interesting to see where like the news breaky element sort of comes in, because I think that will be there. It's like, you know, you see like Pablo Torre just won a Pulitzer for doing like a video podcast. Like this isn't like it isn't like you can only break news via writing, but does that make sense?
Yeah, because it is pretty much any time a team reaches out to a content creator, it's, can you make these videos on our behalf? Obviously the kid's not going to sit there and, you know, Darius Garland's, you know, they're going to make it good. It's like this team reached out to me in a, you know, in a cool way. This is cool. I get to work for this NBA team. But yeah, exactly what you said. It's not on the public's behalf. It's always going to be on the team's behalf. So there is definitely a little bit of a scare there.
One question I have for you, Danny, is I always balk at, like, this is like a larger thing, but when people are like, the Gen Z doesn't do drugs or doesn't have sex or like all these like silly.
He's going to ask you if you do drugs.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna. What's your?
Of course.
This is all to say. What's your body count?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm always like, I remember how people talked about millennials when they were 18 and being like, they don't save their money and they love avocado toast. And I just was like, okay, if this is stupid. If that was stupid then like probably what we're saying about Gen Z is also stupid. So I won't ask about the drugs and the whatever, though I do see your pupils are wide and you did like go off camera to blow a line. So, you know, whatever, you can put the pieces together. But the on the media side, the critique is like, they don't care about full games and they only care about their individual players and they only care about the clips.
Yeah.
You know, how much of that is true to your perspective, like that those criticisms or notes are accurate versus how much of that is like kind of just old man yelling at cloud?
I think it's less of a generation thing and more so just a sports fan thing. And, you know, that doesn't matter what your age is, because I've been around both. I've got friends from back home who I love watching games with because they do it like me. It's just more so like we're just watching a game, not performatively, I guess you could say. And then I'm around people all the time where it's like I can tell, you know, this is more for content than it is for just the enjoyment of the game. So, but I don't really think that's, because I see it all over the place, no matter the age, no matter the generation. But I mean, I could say that there probably is more of maybe more of the majority of older generations do watch games more in their full capacity because of linear television, because that's how it was. Like you just, now we can go on YouTube and find 17 minutes worth of everything worth seeing, versus back then it was you're watching it on TV no matter what. Which I like doing. Like I actually like watching football and basketball just straight on. My true preference is to do it alone, because then you don't have to deal with, you know, but I love just watching alone in my apartment, a game full through, especially one that I really want to watch. But I guess, yeah, I kind of answered that. I kind of contradicted myself there. I think it is probably easier for the older generation because it was all linear television. It's way, but I also would say if it was flopped, you know, it's kind of the whole argument. Like if Jordan had today's training, would it be different? If these guys had today's YouTube and all that nonsense, would it be the same? You know,
you get Frank Isola on, you show him a YouTube to MP4 converter. It's like, who knows? Yeah. Well, he could
show that guy the real app.
Yeah,
what he's doing on that, huh?
That's like if you gave a pilgrim a single sour Skittle. Like if you showed Craig Sager one of your edits, he would vaporize instantly.
yeah, literally.
But I mean, I do think that's an interesting, like that. I find that contradiction very interesting, and I as a crusty writer, millennial style journalist, I also don't find, I find the nostalgia to be fairly noxious about this. Like I also love watching a full game, but I think it's like a little naive to think of that as like the only valid form of basketball enjoyment. Like as a lover of typing in youtube.com/NBA/videos and just watching what's on there, like that shit is amazing. Like they will put up the, you know, last 10 minutes of a close game and like a full overtime, and like that shit is cool. And I don't think that's like really, I guess the part of the argument that I don't really find to be very valid is like the so what. It's like, okay, so people are just mostly consuming basketball through like shorter clips and like chopped up videos and stuff. It's like, so then the game is going to die, or like people will stop like going to these games and buying jerseys and caring about it. Like one thing you haven't seen this year that's been a sort of like constant discursive gadfly for about 20 years is like no one's fucking talking about TV ratings anymore. And like, thank God. It's like people just kind of understand that like there's no one metric to like measure the popularity of live sports. And clearly it's a much more diffuse and like, I think healthier ecosystem for that.
It's fun. I agree with you. And like I'm catching myself in like the way that I am mostly nostalgic for sports summaries was like Sports Center, breakdowns. And I used to get mad at when I was watching, and now I'm thinking about it even funnier, where they would be like, okay, Magic versus Pistons regular season game, we're gonna pick up in the fourth quarter. And it's like, okay, well, like that's not the game highlights either. Like that's like they had 90 seconds of on-air television time for Magic Pistons, and they fit the most exciting highlight in to the best of their ability. Like that's not that different than what's going on the internet.
It's the exact same thing, just in a different. Exactly, where it's like, okay, we're going to show you the Sports Center top 10 plays. Well, what the heck is that compared to what we're seeing on YouTube? Same thing. Quick hitting highlights.
I'm thinking about like writing specifically versus like video as like a form thing. And like I'm a writer. That's like what I do. But even then I sort of have to admit, like I'm thinking about like, okay, I wrote like a Jaden McDaniels story. And like the stuff that's in there is essentially like the stuff that you could see on like a YouTube video, but like in translation. So like there's nothing more inherently like valid to the written word. Like it's using like myself as a prismatic filter between that reality you can just like see and then like putting something out. And I think like that's interesting and valid, and you can get some like amazing stuff in there that like isn't on the video, but like
exactly.
It's not like it's like a more direct form, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
I think the problem though is not to your point, like, and this is where it's worth, getting nitty gritty about this. It's like the problem is not the medium, right? Like video versus audio, but the problem is the sort of interfacing with large scale recommendation algorithms, like that largely video are more connected to than there really aren't. I mean, I guess Twitter kind of, but so like if you were like, how do I write this Jaden McDaniels blog so it pops off? That would start to over time, I think, fuck
diminish.
Up your writing. Like it would be writing for the algorithm rather than writing.
This article sucks after the first 4 sentences. It's like,
well, that's why I'm always doing headlines like a comment Jaden McDaniels makes after game 4 performance shocks and awes. He won't believe it. Hit the link to find out more. So you just got to engage with your consumers more directly. Like after Wolves Spurs game 1, it was a lot like, you can't believe what De'Aaron Fox did, so you just meet people where there aren't and just try to bring them there.
You won't believe
that's how journalism's always been though. You got to get people to click and view and all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of a fine balance.
I mean, the Defector universe is like very welcoming and unique in a lot of ways, in the sense that like we have always gotten in both the Deadspin era and now at Defector, like so much of our traffic comes from people just like going to the homepage, and like whether that's like in their bookmarks bar or whatever, it's like most places don't have that. Like most places are kind of like Facebook algorithm merchants or whatever. And so like, we're very lucky to have a bulwark of people who just come and read the thing. But like, I understand that makes me like, like the last World War II soldier holding out 30 years after the war. Like I understand that that's like a unique benefit we have. So I don't know. Future's coming for us all.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to ask Danny, like, what is your, like, how do you follow the league? Like, what is your media diet? Like, how do you keep up with stuff?
I have League Pass, so I watch as many games as I can, and I'm a huge Suns fan, so I get a lot of. I take in the league through the Phoenix Suns.
A few weeks ago,
we need one of you. Okay, you'll come back for the playoff preview in 10 years when they make it the playoffs again. That's perfect.
So hopefully next year, but that is kind of where, because I watch pretty much every Suns game. If I can't catch one, I'm either dead or super busy, but I'm always catching every Suns game, so I see a lot of the teams through them. Obviously Twitter is a big one for me. I don't know if I actually watch, I don't have any real basketball like podcast or media thing I take in other than TV or Twitter or something like that. to be honest.
You're not like a Zach Lowe, Bill Simmons acolyte.
No, not really. And I never really have been, which is it shocks a lot of people. I definitely for football I have, but for basketball, not really. It's a lot of just, I grew up playing 2K all the time. That's how I would learn the rosters as a kid. And I did a lot of reading too. Like I love like the year in sports books and stuff like that. I love reading articles on like NBA stuff. But I can't like pinpoint a certain favorite I would have, I guess you could say. But again, a lot of Twitter, just watching the Suns every night. I'm not going to sit here and say I watch every game. That's impossible. But I watch the Suns. So if they're playing the Cavs, I learn a lot about the Cavs.
Right. That's basically how I follow through the Warriors. I watch it through the Warriors.
Well, it's funny you mentioned this. Your media diet that you're describing now in 2026 is like, that's how I followed the league when I first came up like writing in like 2012. It was like I bought League Pass and I followed as many people as I could on Twitter, and like that's how I followed the league. And so it's like I find it very hard. And I was watching as a Kings fan, I was watching every Suns game as well. Got to keep up with what those guys were doing. So,
what about in the arena of like, because I saw on your show you guys have that gentleman Slim Dookie on sometimes who it does some I think I follow him, either I follow him or I encounter all that stuff all the time, and he does interesting kind of like a combination of like funny breakdowns but then also like earnest stuff. Like, are you following creator like people like you who are lending creative analysis like a Kenny Beecham type of thing, or is that like, what's your relationship with stuff like that?
Yeah, Slim Dookie's honestly one of the only guys I follow that I enjoy. Mm-hmm. Other than that, maybe it's like funny stuff, or like I'll enjoy a sports edit, which are always, it's
Who Among Us.
That's the 19-year-old. That's the 19-year-old way to get it in, those sports edits. But yeah, like Slim Dookie's a guy who I'm a huge fan of what he puts out, and I enjoy, because it is just like you said, it's a balance of like funny stuff, but also, you can watch one of his videos and be like, oh, it's an interesting way to talk about that. But honestly, like other than him, not really. I'm trying to think of like another like face in the NBA community. Other than that, it's kind of just like random 15-year-old kids that are doing sports edits that I'll see. But
totally.
But yeah, pretty much just him and Twitter.
Yeah.
The fun of how all this works, and I think a fairly key part of this is that like NBA teams and like the league office like pays attention to this shit, and like you can still get a job with like a team's front office by like posting game tape breakdown. Like there's this whole genre of video people that I've been following who are like draft guys, and they will do, scout breakdowns of like the top 50 prospects. And they're just like guys who taught themselves like how to make videos, and like pretty much every year, 3 or 4 of them get like snapped up by a scouting department. So like I think that's another sort of layer of validation, I guess, is my point, is like, if the league pays attention to this and thinks that there's like, you just like person sitting in front of a computer can have like, observations that are interesting to them. Like, of course it's like, that's fucking cool,
Yeah, that is so sick.
It would be really fire if like, it's like, what happened to Danny? And it's like, you got hired by like,
looking for the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, the Magic to like make. We see Paolo Banchero like edits that are just like him and Drezen Pekovic or whatever, like crazy fucking edits. Hey, dude, I hope it happens.
It's like when the Clippers hired Lee Jenkins to like write blogs about their players. But it's like, like the Suns are going to hire you, and then Dylan Brooks is going to complain. He's like, you always like switch my edits to like some football shit. Like put like David Attenborough Grizzly Bear highlights in there. Like that's the shit I'm into. And like
Dylan Brooks would love me, man.
Dude.
I love Dylan.
He's a listener.
I'm obsessed with Dylan Brooks.
Yeah. No, I mean,
he was fucking awesome. All right, to do a Danny pivot ourselves. Dylan Brooks is fucking awesome this year.
He's so the greatest player on planet Earth, man. It's Jokic 2, Brooksy at 1,
Malawach 4
at 3. Dude, we need Malawach to pick it up a little bit. But
I'm nervous. We were both pretty like high on him pre-draft, and then it's one of those guys
supposed to fall to us.
Yeah.
So we ended up kind of, we were going to take Carter Bryant, but here's Kaman Malawach at 10. Here he is, and but he's 19. He's got a lot. He started playing at 14, I guess.
Yeah.
He's going to be the next Giannis. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Well, something that both Malawach and Carter Bryant kind of have in common is like not being that good at basketball. Like that's my favorite type of draft prospect, is like incredible athlete, like clearly
Yep.
has like some basketball tools, but is like extremely raw in some ways. Like the
Yeah.
whole like, oh, if we could just teach this guy a jump shot, aka like the most important thing in basketball, he'll be good. Like I love a guy like that.
In
So
any
I'm
other
pulling
avenue
for come on.
outside of sports, he'd be deemed the most dangerous man on the planet. But he just plays center for the Phoenix Suns, so everything's gonna be fine.
You do.
Yeah,
I mean,
just-
like a guy to maybe pivot us into talking actual basketball is like a guy who fits that description is somebody like Mitchell Robinson, who like basically like has stone hands, but and like catapults the ball when he's shooting free throws, but is like an incredibly effective basketball player because of his athleticism and size and, you know, kind of understanding. So there's hope for Malawat yet. All right, let's talk the first round. What we had a few things written down. I'm trying to think like what
It was an amazing first round.
Yes.
I mean,
let's
so
start
good.
there.
just like I like to think of each playoffs as its own sort of like distinct 2-month long like running art object and
Mhm.
thinking about like them aesthetically, like were the playoffs good? And I feel like last year the answer was like kind of no, it was okay. Like Thunder Nuggets was awesome. Finals were great. But then like this year, yes, the playoffs have been like, this is one of the best first rounds I've seen in a while. Like Danny, have you had fun?
Yes. So what would we have? 3 Game 7s,
3 Game 7s in
3
the
Game
East.
7s.
Other one went 6.
2-3-1 comebacks.
Yeah.
And
West was like kind of crazy in some fun ways.
yeah, I think it was beautiful because the Magic were supposed to be way better than they were. So the fact that a team that was supposed to be a 2 or 3 seed in the East was the 8th really made for some fun narratives early on. And I'm a huge Pistons guy. I talked not a huge Pistons guy, but I just talked a lot of crap about them coming out of the East leading into the playoffs. And so I was I would have looked like a big idiot if they had not pulled it out. But I think now they're in a perfect spot to almost kind of walk to if the Cavs, because I've been very disappointed in Donovan and James Harden. Donovan always. I mean, I love that dude, but there's just I don't know what it is, but his averages always go down in the playoffs. And so I don't know if they can pick it up, yada, yada, yada. But the Pistons now look like they're going to have an easy walk. And then
I don't know about that.
over the Cavs. My thing with the Magic was they are so big and physical, and that's how the Pistons win games. So it was hard to out physical a team that already likes being physical. But with the Cavs, I know Mobley's a stud. I know Allen's a stud, but if they can rough them up a little bit, it'll be a good series for sure.
I think it's going to be really fun. I worry that like the game's about a bucket, and the Pistons have like one of those guys who can do that. And I was spending some time with like series previews for that one, and pretty much everyone was like, "Yeah, Ron Holland's going to have to play a lot." And like, is Karis LeVert going to close games for the Pistons? And like talking about like Kevin Huerter's injury as like a potential hinge point, I'm like, man, I don't know. But ultimately, like people basically agreed with what you said, where it's like, if the Pistons are going to win, it's going to be by like explosive muscularity and like just beating the shit out of them.
Diving in
like
a couple ankles, couple knees.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that Malik Beasley is really what it is. He was the quote unquote best 3-point shooter last year, and that guy couldn't stay off Kalshi. So now we're here. But that does make a huge difference.
One thing I have been thinking about Donovan Mitchell that because he also kind of like a really funny thing that I saw with Donovan Mitchell this year is that he created a new move, basically this like windmill pickup, whatever.
So pretty.
Yeah. And then basically missed every single one of them in the first round. Like he did it so many times. It was almost like he started doing it organically, saw the Brett Ursher video of the compilation of him doing it, and then was like, yes, dude, like I gotta triple down on this shit. And then it's like missed every single one. The other thing I'll say about Donovan Mitchell, and I find this term to be a little unsettling, like not something an adult should use, but here I am. He has one of the most hilarious, because of the way his body works, most profound surrender cobras of all time. When the
wait, what does that mean?
That's when you put your hands above your head and go like this, like you're upset. And
that's
you like
hilarious
like
that just came out of your mouth.
Yes. Cobra.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
The Donovan Mitchell, when they are down, like his big ass arms go above his head.
He does it all the time too.
And it's like, dude, like you got to stop surrender.
It took me a little bit to understand what you were saying, but once it clicked, that nothing's ever clicked more in my entire life.
I'm glad.
That was perfect.
That's a small problem I have with
I might make a video on that, honestly, Harry.
Wow,
I hate to steal it from you, but that is hilarious.
It would be my greatest honor for you to.
It'd be
We
so
established
easy.
the precedent that theft is cool already.
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
30
it'd be so
minutes
easy
ago.
to find clips of that too. I know exactly what to type in. It's so easy.
I think Cavs Pistons is probably the series I'm second most excited about, and I would have said first until Wolves Spurs yesterday.
Dude.
Like that shit was awesome.
Talk about the game as about a bucket, dude.
Yes.
Big ass Julius Randle. I was thinking about how every Julius Randle shot he took, and this is why basketball is so funny. It's like every single shot, if he took that on a Wednesday in, December, I would have been like, what the fuck is Julius Randle doing? And then he does it in game 7 or game 1. And I'm like, this guy is amazing.
Yeah. And they were, hey, I'm going to sound like I'm tooting my own horn here, but they were my pick to come out of the West, the Timberwolves. Obviously before DiVincenzo and Edwards went down, but I still there's something about that team, man. There's something about that team. They are so fun to watch. They all kind of eat, breathe, and sleep the same language, and they all love their coach too. He's done it. We've seen it multiple times with him. The purposeful texts or the purposeful ejections he does, just because he knows the boys love it. So he kind of is the same. He speaks the same language as all those players too. And they've been to the last 2 Western Conference Finals. It's always been like the first year they did it, it looked like they were just out of gas because that same team that beat the defending champs was not the same team that lost to 5 against the Warriors. It was just like, what? They've got to be gassed. Yeah. And then last year it was who they lose to the Mavs. The year after that,
yes, they got Luka.
That was that was
24. Last year they lost to the Thunder.
They lost to the Thunder.
They lost to the Warriors. No, they lost to the Mavs in the Western Conference Finals.
In 23, yeah.
And then the Mavs, yeah. So I got that mixed up. But then the year after that, they beat who they beat? They beat the Mavs. Or no, they beat the Warriors, and then they played the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, lost again. And that, to me, was not being gassed. It was more like we're just, the Thunder clearly are outmatching us. This year, it's going to be tough again because the Thunder are so good. But if they can get over the Spurs, which again is going to be hard in itself, because I think anybody would believe the Spurs have a better chance of beating the Thunder than the Timberwolves do. But if they can make the Spurs look human in 5 or 6 or 7, I think that would be pretty fun to watch. Because as a Suns fan who, after game 1 said, I don't know if I'm going to watch any more of these games. I think the Thunder are a lot more human than they let on this year. And it's going to shock a lot of people because they almost look like they're better this year. But I think once one domino falls over there in Oklahoma, we're going to see the whole fucking charade fall. And it's going to just make me feel so good. Hair on the back of my neck standing up. I can't stand that team. So hopefully
we got kids watching.
Yeah, we do, man. It's bad for the game. And I think the Wolves might do something. They're also a team that just they've been through every different scenario. They've been down, they get beat up, and they just always claw and come back. They're battle tested. There's no such thing as that team losing a game and then everything falling. The Thunder lose those the first 2 games. You might be able to be like, oh no, we haven't seen this team with their backs against the wall yet.
It's interesting. I feel like the Jay Will injury is not really getting talked about enough
because it doesn't have to. You're playing the Suns. Who cares?
Exactly. And no, also you're playing the Lakers, and so it's not really going to matter until 2 weeks from now.
Until it matters.
You're right. We saw it last year even with Jay Will. When they play a good playoff defense, it's kind of just Shea, can you get us 45, or else it can get pretty tough for them. And Cason Wallace has gotten better, but kind of only as a defender. There isn't I'm a little skeptical of the AJ Mitchell, Jared McCain stuff. I mean, those are different players, obviously, but I'm a little skeptical that could work against, the Spurs, but the Wolves are pretty solid. I mean, Conley, I'm rambling, but I'm excited. This is going to be a really fun situation.
And again, I think at one point we had a 9-point lead on the Suns. Now we have that as a banner in our stadium. Or the Suns had a 9-point lead against the Thunder. Mm-hmm. Now we have that as a banner. So they're beatable, man. We make them look human.
Something the Wolves Finch is just amazing game coached last night. And you could even make the argument that the Spurs were fairly lucky to lose by 2 and have a shot because of both like
Free throws.
the collapse late, but also like they got so many points in transition that was just like committing to fast breaks is the only way they could score. But like, I think Finch kind of showed not the playbook for how to like attack Wemby because he had 12 blocks, several of which, as our Wolves correspondent Eamon Whalen has pointed out, were goaltends. But like bringing Wemby's guy up to screen and then setting a back screen on him, like we saw the Blazers kind of do that, but it's a little different when it's like Scoot going downhill versus, you know, Ant or someone.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, it was kind of working, like especially late in the game when it's like, yeah, Julius is now just rumbling to the rack or some shit. And like, I don't know how permanent that could be, but like the Spurs don't have a power forward on the roster. Like they're, other than Wemby, like are significantly less in-beefed than the Wolves.
Dude, the blocks thing, I think you're so right that the ways they attacked Wemby was so interesting. And I wonder if it's true that like, because there were 3 or 4 plays, especially late in the fourth, where like the Wemby would come up, they'd junk it up so he couldn't help. And then my theory is because none of these other Spurs have needed to come and do help side defense for the entire season. Like there was just no help side defense if it wasn't Wemby because they've had him the whole series. The other thing, and I'm kicking myself, I wish I had said this publicly because it's been on my mind, but I hadn't said it, which I was like, one day one of these teams is going to just say, fine. In the same way that they're like, fine, let Jokic get 40. They're going to be like, fine, let Wemby get 15 blocks. Like it's better than us passing these shots up because then our offense stalls out. We're chucking up a low percentage shot. Like he's going to block 10 shots. 4 of them are going to go out of bounds. We get retained possession. Okay, fine. A couple of them are going to be possessions. Then a couple of them are going to be like squirt out and like one of us gets the rebound. And so I would be my real theory is that this was like on purpose. We're going to keep seeing this. Wemby's going to get 10 blocks again next game. And that this is like by design. The Wolves are like, fine, block the shot. You're out of position. Like for the rebound, you know, we're going to get him up over you. You're going to get a few fouls. Like, and I think it's just such a smart maneuver.
And
it worked.
It's the last year. Last year, we're going to be able to do it, fellas. Because Wemby's going to spend another summer with the Monks being like, this isn't happening to me again. The Spurs are going to get a power forward. Dylan Harper's going to get better. It's just so if there's 1 year to do it, this is the last year. And then the Spurs are going to go to 10 straight finals. So, I mean, we're going to enjoy it while we have it.
Yeah, I mean, you're correct, Harry, because McDaniels said so after the game. He said we just got to keep attacking him. Like, it doesn't matter. As a De'Aaron Fox stan, that was a pretty rough night for me last night. He was ass. I mean, his main value he was providing was just having Jaden McDaniels not guard someone else. But like, man, he looks so bad. And like, I love that guy, but like McDaniels is just a poison matchup for him. And I do worry a little bit about like, not Harper. I don't worry about him at all, but like Fox and Castle who not always the most consistent shooters. Like, can you continue to score a lot against like really good defenses? And like, it's going to be tough sledding, you know?
I agree. Speaking of tough sledding, we got to talk a little bit to close us out about the Boston Celtics, losing at the hands of Philadelphia to the point of the how great the first round was. That was as somebody with no dog in the fight other than the sort of loose Boston hatred. That was one of the most like thrilling game sevens I've seen in the first round in a long time. Like,
awesome.
It just had it all. I mean, like Embiid, like screwing parts of his body back on in between halves, and then just like kind of unleashing, like talking mad shit to Jaylen Brown and like scoring in all these fun ways, and the like pure and total fraud watch that the Celtics got put on over a 3-game spread was just like that's all you ask for in a series.
And how do you guys feel about Mazzulla? Because I have some very harsh feelings towards him. I think this is if they still had Ime, this team would have. And again, Ime Udoka, had the whole scandal go on, but I guess Vrabel's allowed to do that and still be with the team. I don't know, it doesn't make any sense to me. But if they still had Ime, I think they would already have repeated. this team with Missoula, it almost seems like he has no actual say over what's going on the court. Because last year we saw the same thing where this team lives and dies by the three. And when they don't go in, it's almost at like, and I even saw it one game last year with the Knicks. It was like halftime. The Celtics are shooting themselves out of the series, and Tatum was still on the team before the injury. They come in at halftime, and it was almost like Missoula was like, "All right, guys, let's try and maybe take it to the rack a little bit more because Tatum and Brown, you guys are huge. You can do that just as well." And it looked like it was like the first two possessions of the game, Tatum and Brown both drove. And maybe one of them got a bucket, one of them didn't. But then for the rest of the third quarter, they went right back to the 3-point shooting stuff. So it's almost like, okay, we'll try it. So our pussy coach just shuts up, and then we're gonna go right back to doing the same stuff. And that told me was Missoula's a movie character. He's no real coach in the locker room because this guy has no control over what's going on the court. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. There's no reason for this team to have lost in the first round the way they did this year. There's no reason they should have lost to the Knicks last year. And it wasn't even like, it's because Tatum got hurt. The series was over way before Tatum even went down.
Yeah.
So I'm not a huge Missoula guy. Other than that, I'm a huge to go back to Embiid, which is who we should be talking about. I love that dude so much. I'm such a huge fan because he just gets so much shit. Obviously, some of it's warranted, but because of all the stuff he gets said about him, I'm such a fan of when he kind of just, crumbles back and does his thing, especially when he played for us in the Olympics and then totally like reset his whole time. Like he just gave his back to his country, basically us. And like missed the entire 2025 season because he was playing in the Olympics. And all anybody on Twitter had to say was, "Oh, you idiot! Why don't you go play for who you're supposed?" Like, "Oh, dude, you think you could just win it?" He's ring chasing even in the Olympics. I'm like, would you guys give this guy a fucking break? Like, we wouldn't have won. We wouldn't have beat France or Serbia without this dude holding it down versus Jokic and Wemby. It's like, I don't know. So I'm just always on the good. I always want to be on the opposite side of what's said about him. But unbelievable series for a first round series.
Amazing,
so good.
I'm right there with you with Embiid. Like something I really loved in the last 3 games was watching like the panic that the Celtics had having to deal with this guy.
Like what do we
where
do?
It's just this like huge jumbo 300-pound version of Kevin Durant who's just like splashing jumpers all over you. Like having to deal with that, and then like the Oubre back cuts, the PG bag work, like that shit foremost is like fucking cool. And then you just go back down and it's just grimly like 1 past 3. And I think there's like a sort of spiritual feedback loop that you could sense building where like the Sixers were just feeding off of that energy. Like this is where like the numbers I think kind of crumble away because you watch how they're playing and you can just see that they're like the Sixers guys, they see how unstoppable Embiid is and they're just like, I'm grabbing that rebound. Like I got to do it for Joel.
We got them. They're crumbling. They're bleeding. Let's go. Let's go.
That's
all it is. It's all momentum.
They can't handle it.
There's no equation. There's no Raptor equation that can come up with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Seeing it.
And also, I got to say, a lot of, the Boston media machine, our enemy, you could see it like they're, the Sixers win and they say, this is a Tatum injury loss. We don't go 3-1 without him. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
They went out like chumps. People
chumps.
spent the last 6 months saying, should Jaylen Brown be the MVP?
Yep.
Is Joe Mazzulla declining the gap year the most impressive coaching job we've ever seen? Like, man, the Celtics are just they're gonna walk to the title. The Knicks are fake. The Pistons can't score the basketball. No, they went out like chumps. Starting Ron Harper, Baylor Shireman, and Luka Garza in a game 7 is the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Wow, that's Mazzulla for you. He's a big bad genius, isn't he?
Because to the Mazzulla thing, the critique I've said this before on the show, but one of the things that Mazzulla does is he masks the Celtics shoot 53s and like play like little like calculator rats. But Mazzulla gets up every day and is like, the sun sets in the east and rises twice a day. Like he says some bullshit and they're like, okay, this team's tough because their coach does like Muay Thai. And it's like,
I like watching Porzingis bleed on the floor.
Yeah,
you're the best coach ever, man. Look at you. Should go star in a fucking Bear Grylls special.
Yeah.
I mean, get out of here. Get out of here. This is basketball.
Okay, we before we get out of here, we got to talk about what happened right after the loss, which was our Jaylen Brown, almost MVP, hops on stream after a day after the loss and crunches game tape in like just an incredibly funny move. And I've kind of like, I've gone all the way like through the looking glass on this, where I've like convinced myself it was cool now.
It's
Where
entertaining.
like he is just on stream for 2 hours, like breaking down game tape, which I knew that he was doing every week, so it wasn't unique to this game, but it is unique in that like a few things. One, that he was like saying that Embiid was flopping, and then two, the playoff elimination element of it. But just for those who don't know, Jaylen Brown was live streaming on Twitch, breaking down game tape of the loss. I can't even say it without laughing. And then brings in 3 Celtics super fans to give their highlights of the season live on stream. And a number of these clips went viral. A few just like other elements that I feel are being underreported. I'm starting the stream because I went and watched the actual raw stream, not the clips. And I'm like, oh, this is weird. This is like, is there an ad starting to the beginning? No. Jaylen Brown starts every single one of his streams with a different 1 minute to 1 minute 45 second short film about starring himself. The one that he has in the playoff breakdown involves Jaylen Brown imprisoned in what he calls Planet Nebula, and it's the year 741, and Jaylen is handed in a kind of Matrix style 2 colored electrons, a pink one and a green one. He eats the green one.
Awesome.
And then a alien voice that is subtitled says, "Hard work chosen." And then
I mean, that's special.
The hard work chosen
cool.
pill that he takes that destroys his brain, and he has a medical emergency, and then the stream starts. So that is just what is going on. And then there are different bespoke short films that are commissioned to start every stream, all with a sort of like space theme going on here. So what do you guys think about all that?
Well, that's my thing with them is obviously on paper, as bad as it looks, having a guy go onto a stream Game 7 and break down tape and ask his viewers, hey, what do we do here? It is objectively hilarious. It's some of the most entertaining stuff I've ever seen. Like, I love all his streams. And I'm a huge fan of Jaylen Brown. Sometimes when I watch him play, I'm not, but I love everything about that dude. Well, I didn't know about that, what you just with the short film, but that is incredible stuff. And you can't teach that. You can't just build a Jaylen Brown. It's a one of a generational type player. I'd love for him to be a Sun one day. That's kind of my take on it. It's hilarious. It's entertainment. Like, what other player is going to give us that stream after a Game 7 loss where he should be in Tulum, but now he's given us a nice little breakdown of what happened in the game. Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Yeah, I like that he said, I actually talked to the refs and they told me they had an agenda. That was my favorite bit.
It's so funny. Yeah. And this is where, to the point where, like, to your, Danny, I think I ended up where just being like, this is just awesome. Like, at first I was like, well, why? But the more I thought about it, the more I was just like, this is awesome. Like,
thank you, Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. This is what he thinks. And that's what I want. I'm tired of, you don't want to hear some like after the matter bullshit. Like, that's what he thinks. And by the way, if I lost a fucking basketball game, that's probably what I would think.
Yeah. I'm not happy. I'm going to complain. I want to complain. Yeah. Season's over.
We finally found our generational divide. I think he should be on the beach. Don't get on your computer. Like, shoot that phone with a gun, my man. Like, it's night. It's early May. Like, weather's real nice. I know flights are kind of expensive, but you're making $50 million a year. Get your ass to Split. Like, go to Croatia, young man. Just don't look up where he went to college. I don't think anyone should do that. I mean,
he's got so many honorary degrees now. He's graduated from everywhere now.
He's the man.
I of course see what you're saying. No, like, if my friend did that, I would be really concerned. I as a totem, I think it was I think it was really funny. The other part that I almost like don't like drawing this distinction, but I just have to because it is so explicit. The degree to which Jaylen Brown sounded and sounds in those streams like a right wing influencer, but just with like the things being talked about differently are so funny. Like he might as well be being like, stop the steal. Like it just in the way of like, even like the three people. And again, I'm sort of feeling, so he brings on these three fans who are boosters of the situation. And I did some digging because they looked very funny. I have to admit, they looked kind of in like a Bostonian NPC style way. One
motorcycle gang.
Yeah. One of them was a gentleman who goes by Caveman at the Causeway. Another one is a gentleman named GRD, aka Green Runs Deep. And again, my knee jerk was like, oh my God, I need to make fun of these guys. But then the more I was like, they are like earnest Celtic super fans that like just love the team and love whatever. So I'm not trying to poke fun at them. The one thing I do want to say is the way they were talking about it. Again, it was like right-wing influencer. They were like the mainstream, literally being like the mainstream media is trying to stifle the Celtics. It's like,
hell yeah.
Which is perfect.
Yeah.
Won't the basketball media respect the Boston Celtics?
Exactly.
Yeah, when's that going to happen?
I know. You just reminded me, I still haven't listened to the Simmons episode post collapse. That's usually the one I listen to every year. I really got to set some time for that, put a candle on or something, really just like draw my focus
take
in.
that in.
Well, Danny, this has been great. Where can the people find you? What do they, how do they best get in touch?
Who's Next Show on Instagram, all one word, and then Who's Next Show on pretty much all platforms, YouTube, except for TikTok is Who's Next Sports. You can go check out. I'm posting pretty frequently right now because of the playoffs. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's been a pleasure, boys. This has been awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. This is really fun.
Yeah, maybe we do it again sometime. I'm always down.
Would love it. All right.
Awesome. Yeah. Take care.